anything real? Is everything AI? Are we even in this room? Do you think that the moon is made of plasma? Do you believe in direct energy weapons? Are you listening to enough ragtime music? This is Inverted World Live. Welcome back to my broadcasted fear ritual. It's been a time in this room. It's been time. Alex, but how are you doing over there?
I'm fantastic. I think we're live, and if we're not, let's just have a great conversation.
We're going to do it.
You're live.
Man, yeah. What's up, everybody?
What's up, everybody?
What is up? I'm very excited to be in this room today, despite whatever gremlins we've been fighting off with the help of Carter, who's in here.
Everyone's so
You may
sick
or may
of
not.
us.
I know.
That's
It's all good. It's all good. They don't know that we're fighting back on all this stuff. But yeah, it's been a pretty crazy week, and here we are back at it. We have a really awesome guest. I think he's a time traveler. I think he's a time traveling ragtime musician. I've been watching and reading a lot of stuff from him. We see the world, I think, in we agree on a lot of things in the world, that the official narrative is never the full story. So let's bring in Foundring, waiting in the wings. Yo, dude, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Thank you for hanging out. You're my favorite ragtime musician.
Name another ragtime musician.
Dude, it'll take me so long to go through that list. No, but you're awesome, dude. I love the music. I love the things I've been watching. I wanted to ask you, just to kick everything off, what is wrong with reality?
I don't think there's enough ragtime and enough syncopation. I think there's not enough humor. There's not enough satire. There's not enough court jesters. I think that there is a role for the court jester in society.
Yes.
And it helps you look through the lens of the obscure, the obscene, in like a fun new perspective. Once you take away that glimpse, it becomes. Let me back up a little bit. I'm getting to the weeds here, but I think that we are co-creators of this reality. Mm-hmm. And right now, we are all observing things faster with the help of the internet than at any time before, at least since the last time civilization had a fall. Mm-hmm. And I think it's causing a little bit of a crisis in terms of how we are, we see all the Mandela effect and all this stuff, I think are just phenomenon that we're trying to grasp as we are all being overwhelmed and oversaturated with everything. And I think that the comedy and the humor and the arts are a way for us to parse the reality and filter things. And when everything sort of gets taken away, all those conduits, things start to break down and reality starts to not seem as real. Yeah,
the jester is a very important figure throughout the history. What do you think happened to our modern jesters?
Well, they all got kind of either executed or marginalized or... Right. Just forced out, right? I grew up in everyone's, I wanted to be a musician singing songs, and there was, be a doctor, be a lawyer or whatnot. And like, no, we need to have this type of thing. And I think over the last 50 or so years, the arts in general have become politicized, when really it was about, what we were saying about the jester and the importance of it. He was a guy that was able to make fun of the king to the king's face and get away with it. He was the pressure valve. Now, it kind of gives you the illusion of the fact, so the king likes the jester just as much as the masses do, right? So it goes both ways. Yeah. It gives you the illusion of that you are speaking out, is because everyone can laugh, ha ha ha. The jester is afforded that ability, but the common man saying that, it doesn't really work that way. And so now where we sing in the UK, and literally you or now cannot make fun of the king. Right,
and the jester character was able to subvert reality, and that's what a lot of comedians were doing and still do. Like, there's obviously a lot of great comedians doing it today, but it seems like we effectively as a society pushed out the greatest subverters of whatever the official narrative might be to keep, so the people in charge, whoever might be, can keep it going.
I think subvert is a bit of a loaded word. I agree with what you're saying, but I think it, like I said about the co-creating, they direct the reality. If everyone thinks that it is normal for a dude to punch a woman in a boxing match,
right,
then that's just the normal, that's just the accepted reality of things, right? But when you are allowed to then make fun of it, it kind of causes people to like, oh wait, there's something humorous about this. If you didn't really think about it, they're like, wait, this is an absurd situation here. It gives people that perspective of there's another way to interpret this. And then once more people start laughing at it, then they realize that this isn't the way the things should be. But it takes that first person to point and say, the emperor, actually, the dude's buck naked right now. Right. And then everyone says, oh, wait a second. Right. He's also wearing a dress or whatever.
It's interesting, though, when you see the jester at work during times of crisis, like times of crises, and people, when you question people's perception of a crisis, whether you're being funny or not, or just questioning, because a fool doesn't have to be funny always. A fool might just be literally making you question your own perception. That's when people get really upset with you. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced that, where you're openly questioning things, whether it's with your family or online. If you cause someone to question something that they really, believe in, that's a lot of anger.
I basically get fired like once or twice a year at this point for the things I say online. So, but these all happen in cycles, right? We've been through. I mean, the Vietnam War. We saw that the '60s, and there was some of a genuine movement. I mean, we can talk about this with the whole how that was co-opted, and even just what is it, Laurel Canyon and the CIA, and talk about Jim Morrison and his dad, who was part of the Gulf of Tonkin deception and all that. These are fake characters, right? But there were legitimate ones. The Smothers Brothers, for example. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Yeah, my dad loves them.
Yeah, well, hey, I mean, they're awesome. They come from that boomer era, and they were very talented. They were really talented musicians. They, but the thing is, they spoke truth to power when you're actually allowed to do that, right? So they got canceled for actually canceled for resisting the Vietnam War, and they weren't even saying, "Oh, it's bad." I mean, they weren't just making fun of it, right? They were doing jokes about it, but you weren't allowed to do jokes about it, because then that was making people rethink things. So that cancel culture, that happened hard back then. And then a lot of the so-called freedom fighters, what we saw, right, with the Neil Youngs and everything the last few years, they ended up being the biggest bootlickers of all time. So that was a fake movement. So there always are the ones that kind of speak out. Tom Lehrer, he's another guy. So I don't know if you know Tom Lehrer is. He's the one that sung, people know him from the Element song, where he's like, there's antimony, arsenic, aluminum, selenium, and hydrogen and oxygen. He inspired the Animaniacs, like a lot of the tunes that were done in the Animaniacs. I
love the Animaniacs,
They sung all the countries and all that stuff.
The burp song.
He was doing political satire stuff in the 50s and 60s, and he got canceled for that. He was a piano guy. So a lot of the tunes that I do are covers of him. And some of the stuff that he got, they tried to arrest him in Australia. They banned 9 out of 10 of his songs in the 60s in England on his album. He was ahead of his time. So there were these guys that were doing this stuff before, and heck, even ragtime was provocative at the time, right? It was a mixture. It had the African beats and it had the European harmonies, and then they said, oh no, it's creating this new style that is out of our control. And we kind of are seeing this cycle again with music, where with the technology, when you could just get a digital audio workstation on your laptop as a college kid in the late 90s, early 2000s, that took away the power from them. And it's just like the AI music generation today, where kind of anybody can make a song now. They have monopolized the ability to create art and to do other everything else, right? But the art is a big one, and they have made it seem like there's this, it's only the special once in a lifetime. There's only a Mozart can come once in 100 years. When I call that the Mozart conspiracy. Mozart was a genius, and he was a once in a generation dude, but he was so popular. There was a lot of other musicians that wanted to get their name out there. So they just put Mozart on their compositions. So a lot of the work that is supposedly attributed to Mozart is actually not Mozart. So there's this mythos that surrounds these characters.
Sounds like Shakespeare.
Yeah. And Shakespeare would be another one where it was not this, I mean, they're saying, oh, well, Shakespeare can come once. No, this is all manufactured, a stage reality to make it seem like we don't have this creative power. And right now we're seeing a breakdown of their power structure because that we are now realizing that we actually have this power.
So I want to use that to segue into another story. But before we go there, the way you're talking about ragtime being controversial back in the day, and then you connected that to the AI today, do you have a problem with AI, or do you see as people overreacting to AI music and AI art the same way people were reacting to ragtime?
So I'm a word guy. I play like Scrabble competitive. I play word. I study every morning. I study words. I like anagrams. I'm like really fast at it. So words I react to, and just the term AI just kind of pisses me off. So the problem I have is the term AI is now just being overused with everything. I'm not pretending to be an expert at all when it comes to this sort of thing, but now everyone's like, oh, this is AI, that's AI. And so
how do you define it? Like, what is it to you then? When it comes to, let's look at it through just music, like creating music.
Right. So I think the artificial, people are saying, oh, this is AI, when they're just meaning it's artificial. So in a sense that with the pitch shift, with all this ability to do the automatic rhythm, when you have a drum, right, around 20, 25 years ago, there hasn't really been a real, I mean, you're an amazing musician yourself.
You.
So you know what the whole process goes to putting all this stuff together.
Yeah.
And so there really hasn't been everything has sort of gone, I feel like we've been slow walked into this system. And we can talk about this whole, AI Biden, AI Kamala pictures and all that, where we have been conditioned to now not really know what reality is, because all pop music has been so overproduced that it's essentially artificial.
Yeah.
And I personally think, it's the age old trope that they say that, oh, their technology is 50 years, 100 years ahead of us. So yeah, that's true. They've had this technology for a while.
Yeah.
And I think that it's been slow. The internet, for example, was one of those things where they're like, here you go. Let's see what happens here as a kind of a controlled experiment. We were lucky. I grew up right in the wild west of the internet, where we were able to just see it all, for the good, for better or for worse. Like, I don't want my kids having that experience, but it turned me to who I am. I'm come from the South Park generation of anybody. You can supposed to offend anybody.
Right. Nothing's safe.
You're supposed to be able
safe.
to say any type of theory that you want without having to worry about it. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. My problem, I think, and I say AI a lot, and I know it's a big umbrella under what that means, but when I'm talking about it, I'm talking about people uploading ideas into something that is then using a regurgitated human centipede collaboration of everything on the internet to spit something back out. Then that creator, in quotes, is then having a conversation with the machine to refine it into something else.
So I just assume that everything basically on the internet is fake and gay. That's just a good.
That's a good way to. I mean, that is most of the internet, and that predates the internet too.
Well, so look, I kind of cut my teeth in the early days of. Well, I was on Slashdot. I was on all those things, but I had a friend who's like, you got to get on Reddit. So 2006, I started doing the early days of Reddit, and I noticed bots. But before they really got the tech down, I'm like, wait a second. Before I even knew what the word bot was, I'm like, I am arguing with not real entities here. So I have become more and more aware over the years. In fact, that's how I kind of learned how to start, where to start researching. It was when I got the bots that were swarming. I'm like, vaccine bots, space questioning gravity bots. Monsanto, that was a big one. Before that one, it was like the bots were they're like, oh, Monsanto's the greatest thing in the whole world. Here's all the ways that they're saving humanity. So I saw this stuff going on early on, and I think what we're just seeing now is the next iteration of this. Look, the whole COVID thing is just that, another iteration of that. I believe was not fully AI run. Here, I'm going to step back a little bit. Yeah. Are you a Douglas Adams fan? Do you know Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I have not read it. I know I should have. I know.
Do that.
Yeah.
That's a formative book for me.
Yeah.
All right. this isn't a spoiler alert or anything. I'm going to take a tangent here, but in a nutshell, this is just a side story in one of the books.
Let's do it.
There's a planet and they have this cloud cover above them and they can't see stars. So they think that they're the only race in existence. And there's this rogue AI essentially that has been around for billions of years and decides to do an experiment on them. And he shoots down a broken down spaceship and hey, does this sound familiar? And it lands and then they're like, what is this? And they are brilliant. And they basically, he said it so they can be re-engineered. So they re-engineer the tech, but they're not spiritually and morally capable of this development. Yeah, they weren't ready as a civilization for this level of tech. Does this sound familiar, right? And they then go into by the next year or two, they already have re-engineered it. And the moment that they get above the cloud level and they see everything else, which is fake and gay, but we can get into that as well. But they see all that. They're like, instead of like, wow, beautiful, let's go explore. They're like, this has got to go. This has got to go. So they basically go on this genocidal and annihilation, start this massive regional galactic war. The point is, there seems to be this weird AI type thing that is engineering us in a way, I think, like this thing did in the book, and making it so that we're not quite ready. Our brains aren't quite ready to so it's just kind of funny now that I get back to just reading Twitter X today or whatever, and all these people are arguing over, is this Kamala thing AI? Is this real? Now we're all arguing with each other, and now we're really not even sure if this is our own hand.
That's the thing.
I think it's kind of by design, and the music is a big part of that too.
That's the thing is I think the music they've been making AI music for a while. I think there's artists out there. I hear things from Kanye recently that I'm like, that's not him. I think it's AI. And you can hear it in different ways. For me, it's cadences or the lack of breath. Just something is weird about it. But I don't know. I don't want to regulate it also, because AI music, I really don't like it. I don't agree with it. I've never really messed with trying to make it.
Oh God.
I know you have, and you've done a really good one. That one you sent me, that like kind of harder song. It's shockingly good,
Shockingly good,
because it's got screaming.
Even send you another one that I just made. So I've taken the full plunge. Basically, it's like look, it's gotten so good that clearly they've had this tech for a while. So about 6 months ago, I was like, this is not at the level yet with music, because I was hearing what it was doing, and I'm like, we still have time. Now. Other than my occasional forays into listening to some of my old like emo bands and stuff, I'm mostly listening to the AI music that I'm generating, and my kid is generating. She's making her own songs too, and so I'm finding myself waking up with this stuff in my head, and I'm like, is this demonic? What is this? I'm wrestling with a lot of this. Yeah, but I'm anything that. Look, I'm a very picky person when it comes to music. I have a discerning. I've spent my life as a songwriter. I've written 500 songs at least. Wow. And a lot of them are crap. So I know what it's like. And so a lot of what it's generating is bad, right? So you can be very prolific with this stuff, but it's training people to learn in a way. They're training their ears, and some of these you do 30 seconds at a time. We don't need to get into the details of this, but there is a input that you have created creatively that I'm finding that I have a similar relationship, a similar attachment to these AI creations that I make, that I do my own songs. Right. And we're already at a point where, as of 2024, we are never going to ever know if a song was written by a human ever again. I know. Period. Yeah. And that's what, going back to what I was saying, I see a future, maybe we're already there, where record companies are going to start telling us so-and-so who's been dead for 10, 20, 30 years has a new song out. Johnny Cash has a new song out. And will they tell us it's AI or not? Because they could probably just get away with it, being like, we resurrected him, found this thing in the vault, and here, boom. So the way I see it, I'm thinking of, I'm in a kind of a crappy place right now in California. I don't really perform live, at least not recently. But I was thinking of when I started doing live shows again, I would be mixing it and I would be saying before each song, this is an AI generated song, or this is a song that I wrote. And people are going to have to believe me.
Right.
And that's where we're at now. So I wanted to about where I think this is going. I think this is it's so huge and so powerful and so mind blowing that kind of like the internet, people don't realize it yet. It took 5-10 years before they really, the grown-ups at the time, because I was a kid, really acknowledged that this was going to change everything. And that's where we're at with this AI tech. And now that whole entire presidential campaigns are just going to be fake. I mean, completely fake.
Right, we're almost there.
We're being trained to sort of right now with this one to learn that. And so with this AI music stuff, I'm going hard in it because I need to know, I don't necessarily think of it as the enemy. In the right hands, it can be a very, very powerful tool. Like a lot of people can put out their ideas the memers, the people that they live with me doing memes and using words as weapons, essentially. Right. I mean, that's what I try to do when I write songs. But once those people realize that you can combine music effectively with the memes, it's just going to explode in a way that it's lethal. Yeah. It's lethal. And that's why I hear about the record companies, they're suing these AI generating the services right now. So long story short, as a musician, I highly encourage you to dabble in it and see what it does and not be intimidated at it, but certainly not it's just like anything. It's just like a drug, not to be swept up in it. A lot of these are free services that I use too, and they give you a limited amount per day. That's fine.